Welcome back to Paradise. I think there's only one crime left to solve, and that's something that happened 10 years ago. So, let's figure out how One Last Kiss was killed. To do that, we need someone to interpret the evidence for us. And that person is downstairs. Wonderful to see you again. You're the only one that doesn't call me an investigation freak. It's not nice to call people names, is it? That name was given to you derogatorily. You may have lived up to it, but you should be careful of the labels you let stick to you. Depends on your perspective. How do you mean? Other people can see something about us we can't see ourselves, even if that opinion comes from a place of nastiness.
That's not nice.
Yeah, the more I listen to it, the more clearly that is Jacksepticeye. So those 6 portraits were probably voice actors.
Fabulous.
Alright, so what we're going to want to do now is ask about the murder of Grace Bloodlines, but let's do it last. Yes, I do give Sam blood. He has a rare condition. You may have noticed that he has no flesh, and his skeleton is bright red. The council approved letting him have citizen blood. He developed this condition a few sequences ago. I suspect his body is starting to give out. Alright, so here is the big question. What do you know about a photo that was taken of Grace's throat during your examination? I took the photos, but they were confiscated by Akiko, classified or whatever. I found one on the Marshal's server. Can I get your opinion on it? The bruising on the throat looks odd. Now, the thing is, this photo was flashed at us for like a second, so unless you're really quick on the draw, you may not have seen it. You can go into your case files and take a nice long look at it, but most players probably don't. The fingers that did the strangling aren't uniform. In normal strangulation bruising, you can see areas of pressure from the fingertips and the knuckles. The pressure on these is misaligned. This is normally because the attacker is wearing jewelry, specifically a ring on their wedding ring finger. Now this doesn't make any sense in terms of why would the wedding ring leave less of an imprint than the fleshy finger, but as an excuse for allowing us to determine who did the crime, this is fine. It helps us to reveal that someone with a wedding ring did the crime. Yeah, well, Red Herring certainly wasn't friggin' married, so it wasn't him. It's that simple.
Sure.
The gauntlets on the Marshal's power armor are gloves with armor plates on top of the hands. So basically, it could not have been Akiko and it could not have been Red Herring, so who else could it have been? Who was wearing a wedding ring 10 years ago? We already know that that Carmelina was married to Witness 10 years ago, and then they broke up. So that means it was probably either Carmelina or Witness to the end, and we know that Carmelina was there, so it was probably Carmelina. Now, I'm explaining this to you, but the game will explain it to you pretty quickly if you don't walk through that yourself. And it also, just happenstance, means that Doomjazz couldn't have done it because his fingers do not look like that. But we already know that the only people who were there were Carmelina, Akiko, and Red Herring. And of those, only one of them could have possibly done it. So now everything is solved.
Is this a fact? I have a bad feeling about this.
I think there are lots of clues left. There are lots of things we could do if we wanted to do more things. By and large, however, the mystery portion of this game is solved. We've already figured everything out. The rest of this game is going to be exploration stuff and maybe some fun with... Can I make it? No, we didn't quite make it. That's fine. Maybe some fun with doing the actual resolution stuff. You know, the judge being walking through the final judgment. We could also spend a couple of years trying to get all of these red crystals, red gems, whatever they are. I don't think you want that, though. What I was trying to do was get that one little crystal that's off to the left. Which, of course, it's vitally important that I do. Because what would I be without one little crystal, you know? Basically, the problem is that this one gap here is just a little too wide to jump from down there. But it's pretty easy to jump from up here. Waha! So, I'll pick that up. I thought I heard another crystal, but I think it was just the water. Alright, well, that is only 6 minutes, so you'd think that there would be something else I could do. I could go around and do whatever we wanted to do. I could talk to Yuri Knight some more. But, to be frank, we've already seen almost all that the game has to offer, aside from the final denouement. So anything else I do is going to be discussing things that aren't probably very important. One of the things I do want to continue to discuss is Blood Bar skits. I think I might have gotten all of them, so it's hard for me to find a time for me to do that. So I might as well do it now. Once we're done talking to Yuri here, I will start to talk about the blood skits. Here we're talking about Enchanted Blue. Yuri is firmly in Enchanted Blue's grasp, and we're kind of narrowing in on that, but it doesn't really matter.
The truth is revealed.
So here he's going to try and explain that his phone was just like magically off.
Why?
What are you talking about? Oh, so don't be snide with me.
So he's saying, yeah, the reality folding drive got in the way, but in reality, him doing reality folding got in the way. He was walking Dainou Nagate through the tunnels. They couldn't get in. So here's how it unfolded. Dainou Nagate could get through the first gate because the first gate is just two dudes, and there was a doorway that bypassed them. So everybody just walked past the first gate by going in the back. They just had two different back entrances. The second gate is something Carmelina had never gone through. She couldn't do an entrance past that point because she'd never gotten through. She's not a member of the council. She's not allowed in. So in order for Dainou Nagate to get through that area, he had to be guided through by someone that could solve that space puzzle. And that's what Yuri Knight did. Yuri Knight solved the space puzzle and brought Dainou Nagate through. We know this because we see Yuri Knight's pedals and the helmet he used. The third and fourth gates were things that Dainou Nagate can get through because of what he is. He has the blood to get through the third gate because of he's Ais Kiwami's kid, and he had the godflesh sewed into him, and that got him through the fourth gate. So that's what Yuri Knight was doing. His phone was off because he was busy walking through the corridors, the magic tunnels, carrying Dainou Nagate through that second gap. So he was either in magic null space or in deep outer space at the time.
Nonsense. Yes. Don't. Don't.
Crime cannot hide.
Here we are talking about how he broke through the second seal.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. He's not very smart, so we cornered him pretty easily.
Pathetic.
Push, 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 push.
Insufferable. Worthless. What business is it of yours? Nonsense.
There we are. And that's Yuri Knight done. I don't think we need anything else from him. We can hang out with him again if we really want to, but, you know, who cares, right? As I was saying, excuse me, the blood bar skits in this game, I don't think they're used quite as well as they could be. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of potential in that kind of skit to create resonance with the main game. And I think that was their intention. So the idea is that if you have a side quest... dark. If you have a side quest that is... not a side quest, a side presentation that is not part of the main game flow, you can use it to build resonance by offering up comparisons and highlights that will allow the player to recontextualize the main flow, the main game that you're playing through. That is true of some of the Blood Bar skits. The Blood Bar skits all take place in the future, and they are commentary on the past that we are currently living. And that's a great way to do that kind of commentary. But unfortunately for us, they don't really push it very far. They frequently talk about things like the nature of life or, other kinds of conversations that are interesting, but not generally resonant with the main flow of the game. The real issue is that it's difficult to resonate with the main flow of the game when your game is open world, because who knows how far the player has gotten. Sure, you can place these things anywhere you'd like to, if it's in the cannery, we can talk about cannery stuff. But that's only going to be so good because the player might be visiting the cannery very early on in their playthrough, or it might be very late. That does make it a challenge to do this kind of Blood Bar skit in an open world situation, and I think that the only solution to that would be to make it so that the Blood Bar skits happen in a specific order. Rather than happening where you think they are, they would just, whatever you found booze, it would be the next booze on the list. And in that way, you could control which Blood Bar skits were seen first and which Blood Bar skits were seen later. That would allow you to resonate with the part of the game the player might be in. It's not a great guess because some players are going to focus on collecting stuff and might get all the Blood Bar skits right away, whereas others might not be so focused on that and might get the Blood Bar skits quite late. But that problem is a lot less severe than not knowing anything about where the player is at all. I suppose the other option would be to have the Blood Bar skits resonate with the locations that you find them in, but the locations that you find them in aren't terribly resonant. The Blood Bar skits are found like on hills and stuff. It's not really something that that has a strong sense of place. You don't go, oh yeah, we found this Blood Bar skit in the deep tunnels or whatever. And because of that, it can be, it's like, I'm not really sure whether or not we can link the Blood Bar skits to a location. But we can link them to a time simply by having them unfold in a specific order, rather than an order, an arbitrary order based on what you find when. Hope that was clear. Lady Blue. Remember how divine her lipstick looked on TV? And his lipstick. Divine. I love those two. Late nights were better back then. That was a really crappy read. I've been at this for about 3 hours now, and my reading capabilities are shot. So I think that we are more or less done with most of the things I wanted to do. The water that reflects the moon is warmer than the surrounding water. You bathe in it for restorative purposes. Yeah, that's interesting because it is literally impossible. Light doesn't work like that. I mean, the only way you could bathe in moonlit water is if you were using someone else as a camera. Because if you are in the moonlit water, then it's not the moonlit water. The moon doesn't work like that, but that's okay. You can see how I'm navigating here. This is what I'm talking about with how the level navigation works and why it's so much fun. You spun me around. I wanted it to last forever. We were roller skating. I wanted to never take them off. The setting sun sparkled on the ocean. There are still plenty of secrets left in this game, but they're mostly level-related secrets. I don't know whether or not there are any big plot secrets left. If there are, it's just because I forgot I hadn't gotten them. I played this game through several times now, and it's a little bit challenging to remember which ones I've discovered and which ones I haven't. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish off by talking to our old friend Crimson. Next episode we may or may not do something related to houses, and then we'll finish up with the actual crime scene, you know, the actual crime drama, the court case. But first, let's finish with Crimson. We've already gotten everything we need from her, but I think she has a couple more things to offer. First off, we can buy Starlight skins, as many as we want, and we have loads and loads and loads of spare cash. The thing about the Starlight skins that we get from her is that they are arbitrary. They don't have any direct relationship to her or her nature as an information broker. They're just arbitrary Starlight skins for kicks. It's kind of an interesting idea. A very strange thing to spend your money on in this game, though. The start of the day is filled with so much promise. Anything could happen, but it won't. This area of space can only be traversed by an ancient race of octopus-like creatures. Their bodies harden into crystals to protect them from innumerable micro-maelstroms. So this is what I was referring to quite a while ago when I said that a lot of the art in this game is just pictures of deep space. And the reason for that is simple. These pictures of deep space are public domain. NASA takes these photos, and NASA photos are public domain. One school of thought claims that this area of space is the crucible of life. Another school of thought contests that it isn't, but hasn't provided an alternative. All of these stars looking down on us every night. Harrowing, isn't it? What do they want? Why do they watch? What are you planning to do with your amassed wealth? If trade is good, you're carrying a lot of blood crystals. That's a strange thing to say. I want a quiet life. That's why I'm down here, away from the tower. Not the greatest fan of people. Having a big chunk of change allows you to live your life in peace.
Don't be coy.
We all have our crosses to bear. Have you tried that new beer that I'm on the can of? It's good. I bought a can. Last one on the island. There's a competition to win a date with me with a winning ring pull. Anyone win? I'll let you in on a secret. There are no winning ring pulls. I know certain things about the Dead Nebula Company. I told the CEO that I knew these things, and she made the winning ring pull disappear. I'm not a prize to be passed around. There are a couple of characters in this game that I find are written very compellingly, and by that I mean that when they talk to you, you get a really deep insight into their personal ideologies, their personal lives, their concerns. Certain characters are more about connecting the player to the world. For example, Lydia Daybreak, the girl who drives the car around, she's there to make us feel grounded. So when we talk to her, she does tell us about her personal life, but her personal life is boring on purpose. That's the point. But when we talk to people like Crimson Acid, we can get a real glimpse into, this kind of simmering distaste, the simmering unhappiness that could drive them to do whatever to get out of it. The joke is that almost none of those people actually did anything to get out of it. Crimson Acid is one of the only completely innocent people on the island, despite the fact that she has a fairly deep character.
Sorry.
I dread to think what your file on me looks like. Well, I've been gone for 3 million days.
Thank you.
So we can ask her a couple of questions, but she doesn't have anything important to say.
I have my way.
Ooh, the investigator is here.
Thank you.
So here she's going to tell us a little bit about Grace bloodlines. Don't you think it's strange that Carmelina went to the exorcism? In case you hadn't figured it out
The
yet,
investigator
here it is
is
laid
here.
out for you. Sometimes someone forgets to encrypt something. While Carmelina was heading to Henry's apartment with Grace, she messaged Akiko and told her to step out of the room while Grace was doing the exorcism.
That's strange. I have a bad sure.
And so here she is giving us hard evidence that we can use in court against Carmelina 10 years ago. Do you know anything about the third Holy Seal? Sure, I do, of course. It's a bloodlock, of course.
Sure. Got it.
I have.
Don't test me.
Do you know anything about how the council enter the penthouse? Yeah, not really.
Thank you. Good work.
This is just world building. It's fun, but not necessary to talk about.
Weird. Thank you.
So here we find out that there was a financial transaction between Rena Division and Aiz Kiwami. I believe this was Aiz Kiwami hiding the birth of the red
The
herring.
investigator is here.
Yeah.
Nanny, the hell?
It's not important, but it does exist.
Who knows?
Sure.
Don't be coy. Who knows?
What the hell? Got it. Don't test me. Got it.
So here we are asking her about Shinji, and here she is telling us to not worry about him. They would have to go in really hard with this don't worry about Shinji stuff, because it is quite possible that the player could still think that Shinji is somehow involved in the crime. I mean, he's a teleporting
That's
demon.
strange.
So that's why everybody who comments about Shinji is very clear about the fact that he could not have done anything.
I have my ways. Who knows?
You don't need to find out more. We are in fact coming at it from the other end. We have already found out everything.
Good. Thank you.
What the hell?
Nice doing business with you.
That's that. Exciting stuff. So, there are still people to talk to. You know, we have to go back out to the island and yell at them for a little while and stuff like that. But it's basically just cleaning up. I don't think anybody wants to see that. Feel free to leave a message if you want to see that. Otherwise, the presumption I'm going on is that we should skip to denser parts of the game. And that would either be straight to the actual judgment, or talking about level design stuff a little bit more. Either of those things would work. Duck, duck. Either way, I'll see you later.